of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. We are so happy to meet with you from the Monastery of St. Mary and St. Moses in Texas. We are here with His Reverend Abouna Gabriel Yacoub. We are so happy for his ordination. I always remember the verse in Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 15. And I will give you shepherds according to my heart, who will feed you with knowledge and understanding. Yes, we are so happy, and we feel that we are so blessed to have Abouna Gabriel with us today. So congratulations, Abouna, and may God preserve your priesthood for many years and peaceful times.
Thank you, Abouna.
Abouna, first, regarding this verse, I will give you shepherds according to my heart. So we feel that you are a gift to us from the heart of the Lord, and we feel that you have knowledge and understanding. You are talented, and you have studied and you have experience in the field of service. And yesterday when I attended the liturgy, the first liturgy, Otsak, you prayed, I said to Marianne, your wife, that he was born a priest. This is our feeling. I carry the happiness of all the congregation to your Reverend. Abouna, how can you introduce yourself to us?
Sure, Abouna. Thank you, Abouna, for your kind words. I was born Steve Yacoub on November 8, 1983 in Jersey City, New Jersey. I grew up there all my life. I was baptized in St. Mark's, Jersey City, baptized by His very Reverence Abouna Gabriel Yacoub, which is one of the reasons I picked my name Gabriel after His Reverence. I love Abouna Gabriel. He was a great example for us. Yeah, I mean, he passed away when I was younger, but his legacy carried on for years, and in the people that he served.
And he was a priest upon the first church in America.
Yes, he was the priest of St. Mark's in Jersey City, the first church in the United States. I believe also he was the first permanent priest in America to serve in the United States of America. And although he passed away in 1993, his service lives on till today. And I know in my family and my parents, several families that we're close to. So he's very impactful, his service, and he lived on many years past his departure. So I was baptized by him in St. Mark's. I grew up in St. Mark's, Jersey City. I went to school in Jersey City, elementary, high school. I went to college at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, studied computer engineering there. And upon my graduation, a year after I graduated, I began my postgraduate degree in engineering management. So I received my master's degree from New Jersey Institute of Technology in engineering management. And I worked as a software engineer primarily out of school, starting in 2007, up until March 19th, 2021, a few days before my ordination, when I left my career and started a new career.
Where did you used to work?
My latest job, I was working at the Walt Disney Company. My position was I was director of software engineering. And I managed, oversaw about 25 people.
25 under.
25 people reported into me.
And Abouna, how about your family life? Tell us about it.
Yeah, I am married to Marianne, my amazing wife. We got married January 12th, 2013. We had our first child, Emma, on January 18, 2016. And then Timothy was born March 5th, 2018. And Caleb, our newest baby, March 15th, 2020, right when the coronavirus pandemic started. Actually, that Sunday, it was a Sunday he was born. It was the last normal liturgy we had in church on a Sunday. I remember after that, there was up until today, haven't had like a regular liturgy again since Caleb was born. So he's yet to experience a normal Sunday in church without masks and with a full congregation.
I feel that they are a blessed family, and
Thank
we
you,
love
Abouna.
them all.
Thank you, Abouna. They love you, Abouna. They love the church. Yeah.
Everyone in the church loves them. Abouna, tell us about your experience in the service.
I started serving at the age of 18. I finished our servants prep course in St. Mark's in Jersey City. So I served ever since I began serving up until, the ordination. I was serving high school primarily. When I first started serving, even I was young, at 18 years old, I served high school from a very early age. So I served high school in St. Mark's, Jersey City. In college, I was founder and president of the Coptic Society of NGIT. We had the Rutgers Newark, you could call them branch of Coptic Society, which worked out fine. But although NGIT had very few students, we felt that there was a need so that we can have events on both campuses, so the NGIT students didn't feel second class to the Rutgers Newark students. And so we worked with the Student Senate and the student government in NGIT. We established officially the group, I believe it was in 2003. And so when that began, we started having meetings both in NGIT and in Rutgers Newark. And it gave us the opportunity to do events on both campuses. So for example, if we wanted to do a Thanksgiving dinner and the Rutgers campus wasn't available for some reason, we could always use NGIT and vice versa. So which worked out great. From what I understand now, NGIT has a lot of Coptic students.
And the system is still on.
Yes, I think it's still going on. From what I understand, they're very active, thank God. It's for me, that service was very...
Who was the head of the service that time?
I began the service in NGIT.
Abouna
Moises Yacoub from St. Mark's in Jersey City.
He is in this position.
He's still very active. God bless his service. He's been very
yes.
committed. We used to take up a lot of his time. I'm sure they still do.
He's so dedicated for this.
We had meetings at night and retreats and tasbahas and liturgies on campus. And whenever we needed anything, we wanted to invite a bishop, for example, Abouna would call them. So he was great to work with. Taban, I had the blessing of working with Abouna both in the Coptic Society and of course in St. Mark's, Jersey City, where I served high school, served as a deacon there as well.
This in the year 2003?
That's when we started.
Yes, I still remember I was there with you and in the Coptic Society it was?
Yes. Coptic Society, so we got to serve, we got to see, another great blessing was we got to enjoy and see all the priests. They used to visit us every week. It's like what you were talking about ECCYC, I also served with ECCYC a little bit. I used to help with the summer conventions for college and high school, and as well as the winter graduate conventions. So I used to serve with them, with Abouna Antonius Macarius from Queens and Uncle Emil Khnouk and all the rest of the servants who were all amazing and a blessing to work with. And then I served as a deacon. We got involved in the basketball league, the Koibel. So I helped coach the team a couple of...
so you played basketball?
I played. I used to be a lot better than I am now. Now I'm older and now I have a...
No, you're still young.
Black gelebeya. It makes it's somewhat restricting to what you can do on the basketball court. So I coached.
To be the coach?
For high school, and I coached the college team for 1 or 2 years when I was injured.
You were injured?
Yes, I hurt my knee a couple of times. I'm very clumsy.
Professional. It means that you took it seriously.
Quite the opposite of Abouna. It was because I was so amateur. It's easy to get hurt and easy to injure yourself if you don't know, if you're not as, strong in the game. No, so I hurt myself playing basketball once and I couldn't play 1 year. So I love to be part of the team any way I can. So instead of playing, I coached.
So Abouna, tell us about how did you feel when the church asked you to be a priest for St. Mark Church in Cedar Grove?
Taban, the initial reaction is there's no way I am fitted or suitable for the position, or no way what I struggled with, Abouna, to be honest with you, there was no way I felt like God was calling me or my family for the service, because I'm not worthy, or I'm not qualified, or I'm not able to do the work that's set up before me. And honestly, I still feel that way. What I've begun to realize, or begun to understand after talking with Otsek and with my fathers, the priests and the bishops, is that no one really feels, or no one really is qualified for the service. But what our goal is, or my goal is, to get closer to God, and by doing that, by growing closer to God and relying on Him, I allow him to use me as he sees fit, and allow him to essentially serve, and I am مثلا the vessels or the instruments by which he serves, and try not to think about.
He will play the melodies.
Yeah, and I am just imagine yani cymbals that's making the noise.
And this is what attracted me to you, Reverend, because when I asked you on purpose, I tried to avoid you for a while to see what's your reaction, and you were very calm, very decent. When I said to you, maybe you will not be the priest, you didn't get angry. You took it very simple way.
Yeah.
And I have to say that the other nominees, they were great and they were perfect. I think, Abouna, if you are number one to be on the altar of St. Mark in the Archdiocese Church in Cedar Grove, but you will not be the last one. I think that we will start from now to prepare for the next one. But tell me about your, how did you feel on the day of your ordination, or the moment of when you were under the hand of His Grace Bishop Amba David?
Taban, it started when I walked into church. When I walked in, I got a flood of emotions. I felt a lot. As soon as I walked into church, shuffed all the deacons and all the people and all, and everything, and I felt I felt overwhelmed, and I felt a lot of things. I felt honored, definitely honored that this was like the day has come, and I felt God has called me. I felt overwhelmed because of everything that's coming, everything that's about to happen. I scared. I felt scared with it's a big change.
This is normal.
And
it is the moment of slaughtering.
Yeah.
I say that you were like a sheep was led
coming to the slaughter.
slaughter.
Yes. So I kind of felt that way. I felt a little bit that way, and I was scared. So in the beginning, it was tough for me. I remember attending matins and feeling a lot of emotions.
Maybe the word congratulations, Steve, it scared you.
Yeah, and it's not just the word congratulations. When people approached me and told me, we can't wait for you because we want this and we want that and we need this, and Hageti scared me because I want to be able
started to put in your shoulder.
Pressure. So I felt pressure, and I felt that I wanna do so many things, and this goes back to my earlier point that when I began to think like this, and when I began to think I want to do things, I got scared. But I started shifting my focus back to see, I have to see what God wants, and I have to see how God's going to use me. I can't think about, the harvest is great, but the laborers are few, and if the harvest if the laborers are few, the only solution is that you have help from above that helps with the harvest. The solution is just you ignore the harvest. That's not the solution either. So that feeling of the harvest is great. It's tough, but I'm trying to shift, and the monastery has taught me to shift my focus a little and not worry about the service as much, but worry about my relationship with God and relying on God and seeking God. One of the things that's helped me in the monastery, or that I've learned from the monks, and we sat with Amba Yusuf and Amba Basil as well, is don't rely on your own understanding.
You have met with Amba Yusuf and Amba Basil.
Yes, we got to sit with both their graces.
And they spoke with you.
Yes, I got to sit, I thank God Amba Yusuf was so nice to give us some personal time with him, one-on-one, as well as other group of the new priest here.
So you met with him individually?
Yes, individually. And so I got to speak to him, and I raised a similar point to him. I told him, I said, I feel overwhelmed, and I feel at times that I'm scared. And he said, this is normal, and he said that you have to, again, not think about your service or not think about what you can do, but what God can do through you. And so what I've learned from the monks here especially, they've shared many stories about similar feelings of, maybe they don't know. For example, one of the monks in the kitchen told us about how some of the youth wanted certain food cooked for them, and he didn't know where they were going to get food from. This particular food they asked for. He found that later that day, someone came donating that exact food to them, to the monastery. And Amba Yusuf told me similar stories about, and so it was refreshing and comforting. And so I feel like the church puts these 40 days in place for the priests for that very reason, yani, to prepare them.
So Abouna, you enjoy your staying here?
Yes, Taban, it's difficult being away from my family, being away from my church and my friends and everybody, but you can't replicate this in the world. You can't duplicate what they have here. The waking up early for Tasbih. Yeah, Taban, in the beginning it was difficult.
Tell us about your day here.
Sure. So yeah, the day it starts every day 4 a.m. with the midnight prayers and the midnight praises.
4 a.m.
4 a.m.
So you
yeah,
have to wake up.
I typically
maybe
wake up 3:45. You know, get ready. I get to church by 4 a.m. We pray the 3 watches of the midnight hour. We begin the midnight praises. We have the blessing to pray in St. Mary's Church here, all English. So we pray English from A to Z, which is nice because, you know, obviously it's my native language. Then we also pray after the midnight praises are done. We pray matins in the morning. Right after. We typically finish around 6:30 in the morning. I go back and rest for a little.
This is the system on the Great Lent.
This is the system.
Like
This 4 a.m. Tasbih every day throughout the year.
Throughout the year.
And I'll get to the weekends and non-fasting days. So during the Great Lent, after 6:30 a.m. after matins, you go to your room. You know, you rest, you read, whatever you decide to do. There's then liturgy at noon. Liturgy goes from noon to 1:30, 2 o'clock. And then lunch. After that, we get to eat lunch together, and then that's it. And then your day during the weekdays of Lent, that's it. The rest of the day is yours. When we first got here, the first 2 weeks before we received the offering, we would have class with one of the fathers here. He would teach us the liturgy, taught us, starting from raising of incense up until communion. And so we did that for about a week and a half, about an hour and a half every day, and then after we learned, we stopped having classes, and we waited for the day where we received the offerings. And so after class, which would end around 3:30, the day is yours. We would have dinner typically around 7 p.m. And that's it. You go to bed. Same thing over again. On the weekends, it's different. So we don't, you do abstain for long periods of the day in fasting for Lent. So we would have
the liturgy ends by 2. Every day?
On the weekdays, yeah. Usually by 2 is the latest.
From
12
noon
to 12. We begin with the Agbeya prayers in liturgy up until obviously end of the distribution of the mysteries. On the weekends, Tasbih is at 4 a.m. on Saturday again, but the difference is liturgy is now attached to Tasbih. So we pray liturgy from typically 6 a.m. to 7:30. Then that's it. 7:30, you're done. You go have breakfast, you go rest.
How many new priests with you?
It was myself and 3 others. So myself.
Now you are friends, huh?
And we all friends, yeah. There's Abouna Musa from South Carolina, Abouna Arsenios, and Abouna Corolos from Canada. So yeah.
And there were 2 before, right?
There were 2 when we got here. There were 2 finishing their 40 days. One was in Florida. Abouna Teji from Florida with his Great Bishop Yusuf, and a neighbor of ours in Queens, New York, Abouna Jacob, serving in Queens with his Great Bishop David and the fathers there. So we got to stay with them for a few days. They left, I think, the Thursday after we arrived on the Monday. So only 3-4 days, but we got to meet them and take their blessing and get to know them a little.
What did you learn from the monastic life here? Especially that this monastery is typical apart from the monastery in Egypt, especially El Suryan monastery. Very strict. I can tell that they are very strict and very organized, and everything is under control.
Yeah, they are very organized, and there's a lot here, and they operate it very well. And you see that everyone, what I noticed in the monks and the brothers here, everyone takes their jobs very seriously. I sat with the monk that makes the urban, and I asked him, what's like, how does he make the urban? When does he make it? On the weekends, because the urban has to be made after midnight. He wakes up, or I don't even know if he sleeps, but at 12:30 he begins making the urban. Takes him about 2.5 hours. On Sunday, Tasbih is at 3 a.m. So he stays up and he starts Tasbih, prays the liturgy. And I don't know if he rests or not, but he takes his job very seriously. And all the monks are like that. If you talk to the monks, they obviously dedicate their time to prayer and in the communal prayer, in the liturgy and tasbihah, their individual prayer in their cells, and taban their responsibility to the monastery. In the monastery, if you look, it runs very smooth. You don't see, to see people running around, or if you need anything, even the monks.
One with a loud voice.
Yeah, very calm. Everyone knows what they're doing. They have their job. In humility and in obedience to Hisn, that they are happy doing their work. You go speak, the monk responsible for the rooms that we're staying in, very humble, very nice. Every few days, hey, do you need anything? Any water?
They are so friendly, although everyone is so strict with himself, but he's so friendly to the others.
Yeah. So what I've learned from them is taban, humility, obedience, dedication. And this is going to help me a lot in my service. You wouldn't think monks, you don't think about them necessarily serving, but they serve, and they serve a lot, and they serve their monastery. They serve one another. They serve one another, and they serve with love and with humility and obedience, and they're very dedicated to what their responsibilities are.
So you will miss these days.
Of course, yeah. I know. Don't get me wrong, Abouna. It's hard being away from your family, but. I'll never have these days again. I'll never have 40 days in the monastery again.
And I would say that 40 days is number 40 in the Bible is the day or the number of changing. So it's a factory. You will enter as a layman, you will live as experienced priest and very well knowledgeable and aware of the right of the Coptic Church, and I would say also you have read many books here, right?
I've read a few. The first few weeks we were here, we were focusing on the liturgy, so trying to learn the liturgy. So after we would have class, I would go practice in church, take the sharia or make a fake offering and pick the lamb. So, but yeah, I've read a few books, just a few that I've read. I could share with you, Abouna. It's I believe it's called The Book on Pastoral Rule by St. Gregory. Talks about being a leader or a priest, and how to deal with the people. And he talks a lot about how to deal with the different types of people, the sad people versus the happy people, people that are quiet versus those that are loud, people that are healthy and those that are unhealthy, those who are sick and those who are well and active. And he said something very nice in the book about the priest. He said, your actions, one of my favorite things from the book, he says, the way a priest acts, if he acts correctly, it's as if he's climbing a high mountain to preach. When he acts correctly and he preaches, people will listen to him as if he's on a mountain. Meaning that if someone were to go preach like Christ taught on the mountain, people can hear you very clearly because you're elevated and you could speak down to the people. Not down like you're looking down upon them, but just so everybody can see you and hear you. It is like that with your actions. If you don't act righteously as a priest, people will not hear you. It's as if you're at the bottom of the mountain. But if you act righteously and you act pure and you act as people would expect the priest to act, they'll be able to hear you.
So actions before words.
Exactly. So the way you act and the way you carry yourself and your actions speak volumes. Or as they say, actions speak louder than words.
You are thinking about your plan. You were ordained especially for the new generation, for the youth, for the kids, Sunday school system. So what's your plan? What's your plan generally in the church?
My plan initially, and I guess the advice I've been given by Amba Yusuf and Amba David both told me the same thing, which was in the beginning you have to learn, you have to listen, you have to see how the service is moving. Taban, I've been serving with your reverence and with the servants for over 6 years now in the church. So I have an idea of how the service works, but I need to see from the other side about how it works. So definitely in the beginning, my plan is to just watch and learn and see how the service is going and see what the needs are.
So you will absorb.
I need to absorb first, but at the same time, there's things I can do, especially with the youth, that doesn't need me to watch, that I've been doing, hanging out with them, spending time with them, activities with them, going out with them, sharing spiritual words with them. This is things that I could do initially, right away. I don't need to make it, that doesn't require a big change. But so my plan is initially to obviously see what the youth need, and obviously get to know them even more. I know some of them. I've served a bunch of them in high school and through my St. Timothy service on Friday night in college. But I would love to get to know them more and to spend more time with them and visit all the people as much as I can, and spend time with them. And Taban, as I begin to learn more about the needs and where as I begin to watch with a closer eye, I will have more ideas, God willing, in the future. And Taban, with your Reverence's blessing and with your permission, I would love to obviously share ideas with you and with the servants. And our church is very blessed, Abouna. We have a couple of things I noticed about St. Mark's and the Makar. One, the people are very loving. Everyone loves, even I felt it from the beginning when Sayyidina announced my name up until, and I feel it till this day. Obviously today people text me all the time, sharing well wishes. Everyone is very supportive and very loving. So it's very, very nice. And we have a great, great group of servants. The servants Andena are very blessed, very knowledgeable. They love the church very much. So I'm excited to work with them even more. I'm excited to get to know the people more. I'm excited to learn from them and to work under them and work with them. I'll share something funny with, something unique too, Abouna. I've had the blessing of very unique events, but 40 days after my ordination is Holy Thursday, exactly 40 days. And it's so fitting that the 40 days ends with me washing the feet of the people. That to me is service. As you know, Abouna, the service is, so that's exactly 40 days from when I was ordained. It says, if God took me to the monastery, Taban, I'll be coming back a little bit earlier for Holy Week. But 40 days I'll be in church still. And I'll end my 40 days with washing the feet of people. So to me, it's perfect. And I look forward to serving.
That's great to start with washing the feet.
I don't feel the priest serves the people, he serves with the people. I think it's a relationship that we have to have with our congregation, and we're serving together. The priest is not going to do it by himself.
That's great, Abouna. You have experience concerning the newly married couples. So do you have a plan for them as you establish with His Reverend Abouna Daniel Habib, the meeting of the new couples?
Yeah, so Abouna Daniel Habib, God bless his service, when he was here, he started a meeting for graduates primarily. It wasn't directed necessarily at married couples or newly married couples, but they were part of the service. So I think marriage is challenging. It's challenging. I experienced it. I got married here. My wife and I, of course, like every other couple, had their struggles, their challenges in the beginning. Then, you throw kids into the equation, it becomes even more difficult. So I think the church needs to provide something for them. I have ideas. I do have ideas of what we can do. Taban, it needs prayer, and it needs to think about it some more. The one thing I don't want to do in general is rush into anything. If we're going to start anything, it needs to be thought about, prayed about. But I have some ideas. I think they need to be served. I think they need to. One of the things that helps, or that maybe some people, that scares some new couples, is they don't know if what they're going through is normal. They think that, oh my God, if my spouse and myself are arguing so much, is this normal? Did I marry the wrong person? They need to know that this is normal, and they need to be able to share obviously in a healthy place with the priest and with other people if they like, some of their experiences. So I'm hoping we can create an environment for that, and for newly married couples to learn what God intends for marriage, and to learn from the experience of the priest, and from not myself, but from your reverence, from other priests maybe, and from other couples that have been in similar situations that maybe are married 20, 25 years.
That's great. Abouna, what's your plan concerning the young kids? Because they have great expectations and they love you very much, and they can't wait until you will be among them.
No, I can't wait to. I love my kids are very little too, so I will be in their midst. So I'm excited for them. The kids need to. Our kids are amazing in the church, and the servants are doing such a great job with them. Taban, the one thing I think we all expect for them is more services for them, more activities for them in the church. We want the kids to grow up in the church. We want them to grow up anywhere else. I grew up in the church. I spent 3, 4, 5 days a week in the church growing up. And this was important. My parents, they purposely lived in Jersey City. They didn't want to move so I can grow up near the church, and they can take me back and forth as many times as they want in the week. So I think this is important.
This is the result now. You are a priest now.
Thank God,
among
Abouna.
them.
Thank God for my parents who raised me the right way and kept me in the church. This is what I want for my kids too. I want my kids to be in the church. I want to make sure that there's always something for them in the church to do, always something for them to learn. So that's one. Two, they need to learn, they are facing a lot of challenges, our kids. They're going to grow up in a society that's going to be more challenging probably than what we grew up in. And we need to equip them. We need to prepare them for what they're going to see, what they're going to experience. And that requires knowledge. They need to be taught. And they need to be taught well. And so we need to think about what we're teaching them, how we're teaching them. We ourselves, Your Reverence and I, we sat yesterday with one of the monks here. He taught us a lot about personalities. And that kind of teaching is going to help our servants. And I think our servants need to learn how to interact with different personalities and how to interact with different students, as we all do. Different teaching techniques from teachers, from certified educators. I think this will all help, and I think our kids will benefit greatly if we are able to effectively teach them.
And I have to say that one of the reasons we picked you, Abouna, among the youth, that you are so compassionate with your kids, حنين جدا. So this is what we noticed, and we are sure that you will deal with everyone, because everyone in the church will call you Abouna. So you are Abouna not only to your 3 kids but to every kid in the church. طيب هنتكلم عربي شوية. اللي بيتكلموا عربي برضو عاوزين يحسوا ان ليهم جزء في ابونا جابريل او ابونا غبريال بقى، عشان تبقى بالعربي كمان الاسم. انا يعني هطلب من قدسك انك تتشالنج يور سيلف وتقول ايه شعورك للكبار اللي زي بابا وماما واللي زي النسبة الكبيرة في الكنيسة اللي بيتكلموا عربي. تحب تقول لهم ايه في الأول يعني؟
طبعا أقول لهم أنا مش أبونا ليهم، أنا يعني ابنهم. يعني أنا طبعا الناس اللي في الكنيسة بقالهم كذا سنة، والكبار بالذات طبعا أنا ابنهم، أتعلم منهم.
أنت بتتكلم عربي حلو يا ابونا.
يعني بحاول، بس الناس بيضحكوا عليا بيقولوا عربي كسر.
مش مهم، احنا عايزين نضحك مش عايزين بس كمان قدسك لما هتتكلم عربي هتقرب من الكبار، لانه اذا كنت هتخدم الصغيرين محتاج تتعامل مع طبعا بابا وماما بتاعه، فلازم تكلموا عربي.
صح. انا معك يا ابونا. انا اتعلمت العربي من الكنيسه اكشلي، لما اتعاملت مع الناس والبيرنتس زي ما قدسك بتقول. لا انا بحب اللغه العربيه وبحاول اتعلم. طبعا عايز اتعلم مور، واتمنى اعرف اقرا واكتب يعني in the future. احاول يعني، بس طبعا صعب.
يعني فرحانين وانت قدسك بتوعظ بالانجليزي، وبنستفيد جدا من وعظات قدسك. الفترة اللي فاتت لما كنت بتوعظ في الكنيسة كان الولاد بيبقوا very attracted و they loved your sermons. حتى ولو تقول كلام في الوسط بالعربي ينفع؟ انا بس عاوز اطمنهم.
لا انا ممكن اقول، ما فيش مانع ما عندي. يعني انا I don't mind. انا ممكن اقول يعني حتى لو يعني عملت الهاي ليفل بوينتس بالعربي انا ممكن اعمله
بالانجليزي
يعني، بس الناس ما يضحكوش.
لا واحنا نكره ان هم يضحكوا.
لو يضحكوا بعد الوعظه. لا انا ممكن انا طبعا I could do that. يعني ما فيش
طيب بالمره كده كلمه تحب تقولها لبابا وماما بالعربي عشان عاوزهم يسمعوا.
انا بشكركم ويعني هم يعني ساكرفايس كتير عشاني وعشان اختي وعشان اولادي دلوقتي. يعني ماما وبابا طبعا لغايه دلوقتي لو عايزين حاجه هم طبعا older يعني عجزوا بس هم لسه العيال نجيب لهم العيال بيقعدوا معاهم ويعني كتير قوي حصل كده بالذات الايام اللي فاتوا عشان كنا مشغولين بالرسامه ويعني our personal حاجات في البيت والكلام ده سواء بابا يعني بيتعبوا كتير معانا واحنا عارفين كده واحنا بنشكرهم على التربيه بتاعتنا والكنيسه اللي على يعني هم اجان زي ما قلت لقدسك كانوا كل يوم يودونا الكنيسه ويجيبونا ويعني كانوا tough معانا لما كنا صغيرين عشان
they protected us
وحافظوا علينا ويعني احنا يعني ما فيش يعني احنا ما نقدرش نشكرهم enough يعني لازم يعني هم
واكيد قدسك هكلمها برضو بالعربي قدسك هتفهمني اكيد فهمت بابا وماما لما بقى عندك ولاد
طبعا of course هم ماما بابا قالوا كده كذا مره لما كنت يعني في البيت عندهم يقولوا انت مش هتعرف لغايه لما عندك عيال وتحس بينا وتعرف الناس يعني احنا بنحس ايه عشانكم and so فعلا you have kids now لما عندك عيال زي ما انت عارف يعني different يعني
طبعا.
حاجه يعني ما تقدرش يعني describe it يعني
وهو ده idea behind they call you Abouna. They don't call you reverend priest or pastor or shepherd. No, you are Abouna يعني وحتى في الصعيد بيقولوا لابونا يابا يعني كأنه فعلا أبويا وناس كتير يحبوا ينادونا يقولوا يا بابا أو يا أبويا it's a great responsibility. الكلمة في حد ذاتها is not easy. It's a heavy word.
صح كل ما حد يقول لابونا أنا زي ما قلت لقدسك I feel يعني overwhelmed عشان ده يعني it's a big meaning حاجة كبيرة طبعا أنا I don't take it lightly وما تاخد يعني I don't take it for granted الكلمة دي very كبيرة يعني it's
very
big,
heavy.
It's heavy.
طيب قدسك if you are a father to the congregation but you are a son to His Holiness Pope Tawadros, especially that he has granted you to be the first and the only one till now in the area of New Jersey and in the area of the Archdiocese to be ordained in the church, not to go to Egypt and to spend the 40 days here. Personally, I'm so grateful to His Holiness, but I need to hear from your Reverend, what do you love to say to your father, His Holiness Pope Tawadros?
Pope Tawadros, yani, we knew from just listening to his sermons and seeing him a few years ago in person when he came, how loving he is and how progressive his thinking is and how knowledgeable he is. And obviously I thank him for the opportunity for the ordination to happen here. We had, I personally had special circumstances, and His Holiness was very accommodating and was very, in all love, was obviously, he saw the service very important, that he didn't, he could have waited, said, you know what, if we can't come to Egypt, we can wait a few months, or whenever he comes, we could, but he saw the need, and I have to thank him, and I can't thank him enough for his love and his care and his blessings and his prayers for us. And so I thank His Holiness so much, not just for the ordination, but for everything. For when Sayyidina presented my name, he blessed it. So from the process, he was in touch with us, and he blessed the process. So I thank him so much.
And I think Abouna, soon we will be there to thank him in person, and to meet with him and to take his blessing and to kiss his hand.
I would love to do that. Yes, I would love to see him and take his blessing and learn at his feet.
That's great. And Abouna, the great person behind all your ordination is His Grace Bishop Amba David. So what do you like to say to Amba David?
Amba David is my father, and I've known him for over 21 years. I've spent many hours with His Grace before this came up. His Grace is such a loving father, and I love him very much. I love spending time with him, and I thank him for his love. And he was with us from the beginning, and even when we met with His Grace about this, I felt like he cared about me, and he cared about I was happy, and he cared that I was comfortable with the priesthood, and he was very loving, and so I thank him so much. He carried my vestments with him back from Egypt. He's with all humility, and I felt embarrassed that he had to do that. He had his own bag for me, which was
this is Amba David.
Yeah, and so
David is so humble, and he loves to show his fatherhood to everyone.
He's very fatherly, and we are his children, and we love him very much. I love him very much, and we thank him for everything, and for the blessed ordination with his hands.
Where do you love to say to your wife, Tosoni Marian or Tomav Marian?
Nobody knows how much she does. Even before the ordination, I don't even think I know how much she does behind the scenes, and how much she does for our family, and how much she sacrifices, and how much she cares for our children. So I can't thank her enough. Taban, I don't show it all the time, but she's the reason I did this. I wouldn't have done it without her. If she had a different personality, or if it was a different person, I can't imagine. Sometimes when I feel scared, I message her, I call her, I tell her I'm scared or I'm worried. She tells me, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna be fine. God's gonna help us. We're gonna be okay. Don't be scared. I'm gonna support you no matter what. So Taban, I thank her, and she's extremely valuable. I think she's gonna be a great addition also to the service. I told her on the day of the ordination, I think they picked you more than they picked me, because of how amazing she is.
I told her that. I said, Marianne, you are one of the reasons. You are a big reason for picking Steve to be Abouna Gabriel. But I have to say that everyone, I told him about our choice, and about we have chosen you. The first sentence he or she says, that's great, and Marianne is a great person.
Yeah,
so
she's excellent, and she's like I told you, Abouna, I couldn't have done this without her. Extremely supportive. If I told everybody what she's been doing while I've been away, you wouldn't believe it. So she's amazing, and even just to travel here to the monastery with 3 kids, it's not easy. And I'm sure you experienced on the flight how uneasy it is, Abouna. So God bless her, and it meant a lot to me that she came, attended my first liturgy here.
Abouna, can you tell us about a character in the history you love, in the Christian history?
Yes, there's so many to choose from. I love Saint Athanasius. I love his leadership, and I love his boldness, and how at a young age, how he stood up in the Council of Nicaea and spoke against Arius and in the heresy amongst so many bishops, as he was a deacon. So I love his boldness, because he teaches us that you always have to stand up for what's right, and you always have to preach Christ, no matter who is in front of you or no matter where you are. So Taman Saint Athanasius, I love him. St. Paul is the model of service for us, so he teaches service. St. John Chrysostom was so educated and so knowledgeable. So I try to learn as much as I can from all of the saints. Taban, when I was here, I learned a few more additional stories about some of the saints, St. Macarius and St. Moses the Strong, about so many. So there's so many different characteristics from all the saints. It's hard to pick just one, but definitely St. Athanasius, St. Paul jump out at me as a few.
And Abouna, how about a person whom you met and you have learned from him?
It's a difficult question, Abouna. This is there's so many.
Maybe Abouna Gabriel.
Abouna Gabriel, I'll just say it. Taban, I'll share you a story. I'll share a story about him. I've told a lot of people this story, but Taban, it teaches me a lot about him. He, when I was in school, a freshman in college, we had a class called Freshman Seminar. It's just a class to get you familiar with the school and to learn about the school. So, you introduce yourself to the professor in front of the class, and I said, I am a Coptic student, Coptic Christian from Jersey City. After I was done, the professor said, oh, I knew a Coptic priest from Jersey City. I told him, okay, do you know his name? He's like, he had a white beard, big figure, very intimidating, glasses. I told him, oh, was it Father Gabriel Abdesayed? He said, yes, that was his name. I said, how do you know him? He said, he used to work in the admissions office. He said, when I worked in the admissions office, he would come to us once a week by person, by foot, saying, there is one student from my church is applying to your school, and here's why you should accept it. So he used to go once a week, Abouna, to the admissions office for the kids in the church that are applying to school, to tell the school why they should, a personal recommendation by his own mouth, not a written one. And so that to me it blew my mind, that someone that busy who had such a big congregation would go to he'd find each high school student applying to college and go to the school and
He was a great person, not only with his normal kids, normal children, but he played an important role in the first visit of His Holiness Pope Shenouda when he arranged the meeting with Jimmy Carter. And they granted Pope Shenouda many honored doctors. So he was a great person, and we have to thank Abouna Abraham and Abouna Moises and Abouna Daniel in St. Mark Church in Jersey City. We can't thank them enough.
I want to thank them too, Abouna. They're my fathers from when I was a young age. Abouna Abraham Taban, since I was 10 years old, or 12 years old, got to know him, and Abouna Moises when he was ordained, and I served very closely with him. Same with Abouna Daniel. So I love them very much, and they're my fathers. I like to thank them for all their service, and I look forward to serving under them still.
That's great. Abouna, can you tell us about a verse you believe in the Bible and you take it as a motto for your life?
The one verse that was, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of itself, when Christ told us not to worry about the lilies of the field or the birds of the air. Taban is something if we get caught up and do not worry, who by you by wearing can add one cubit to his stature. Taban, if we get caught up with the problems we have in our lives and the problems of the world, we're going to be drowning in hardships and drowning in stress. So I lived my life, all my life, and it applies especially in the priesthood. Try not to worry and try to put my faith in God and try to trust Him and to really know that just as He's taken care of us up until this time, and I always tell the youth in Sunday school, there's a lot of things that you don't know what God's protecting you from. There's a lot of things. We know God is protecting us from so much, but we take it for granted. And so I feel just as He's brought us to this hour, He will continue to provide for us. And even if we do have hardships, He will give us the grace to deal with them and give us the strength because He cares for us. And
you are right.
That for me is one of my favorite verses in Scripture.
You are right. I would say at the end that personally I'm so happy for the ordination of Abouna Gabriel. If there is someone is happier than me, he can tell me, because I'm the happiest person in the world by his ordination. And now I can feel that he is an extent to my personal life, and I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of all the deacons and the servants in the church. And now, as His Grace Bishop David said, we have the right to reap what we have sown, and Abouna Gabriel is one of the fruits of the effort of the church in the land of immigration. So personally, I thank God, I thank His Holiness Pope Tadros, His Grace Bishop Amba David, I thank every servant in the church, and I'm so grateful to my new friend and my new brother and my support and maybe my crutch in the future. He will take care of me when I get old. So I'm so happy with his ordination, and personally I pray to God that he may keep the life and the priesthood of Abouna Gabriel Yacoub, and to preserve his priesthood and to bless his service for many years and peaceful times, and to make the congregation to enjoy his service. Glory be to God forever and ever.
Sorry, there's one person we forgot to thank. Forgot to thank Otsak. And I just want to take a couple minutes here.
We concluded.
But I have to.
We concluded
we
the
thanked
meeting
everybody,
already.
but no.
Maybe we'll take it with the montage.
People knew how much Abouna Moises labored and how much he's done for me personally and for my family. I can't thank him enough. Abouna, just to share with everybody, he came with me to the monastery when I first got here, and he came back for the liturgy. And one of the people staying at the monastery told me he's been here for 8 years, and he's never seen another priest come twice to the monastery. So Abouna, I thank you so much.
The service, they arranged that for you, to give you just a blessing.
Thank you, Abouna.
I think you love this cross,
yes,
so
I love it.
they knew that, so they insisted to bring this as
Thank you,
thank you,
Abouna. I'm not worthy, Abouna.
No.
Thank you,
Abouna. And we love you.
This is beautiful. Thank you, Abouna.
We love you very much, Abouna. God bless your service and preserve your priesthood.
Thank you, Abouna. Thank you, Abouna.